Can I ask you something? Are you okay? How are you feeling? I'm sitting here doing some filming for my channel and private readings, and something just came over me to ask, how are you? I've noticed that a lot of people are triggered this week. There's a lot of ups and downs happening, emotions running high, and I figured I would do a reading that would look into what's going on, you know, in regards to our mental space, our emotional space, our spiritual space. It's really important that we address the feelings that we're feeling and wondering why they're happening, looking at why they're happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some overall energies right now and let's see if they resonate. But our first card's adjustments are required. A lot of you may be feeling like things are changing. You know they're changing. You're not sure why they're changing, but you know they need to. And I think that sometimes we have to look at why these things are happening. You know, not that they're happening just to us. Yeah, time to chop wood. We've had this card recently before. You know that you've got to get some things done. You got to chop wood. You got to get to work. And with that, let's see what else we need to know. Abundance. Abundance is coming. It really is. It's just we don't fully see it yet, okay? So I'm going to put these cards up to the very top and let's look into what's going on mentally for us right now. Oh, this card just dropped out instantly. Knight of Cups. Are you feeling like you're in lovey vibes? Knight of Cups is knight in shining armor. This is wanting a deeper love, a higher love, okay? Bring me a higher love. Beautiful song, right? That song just came into my mind, but Knight of Cups. Okay, so a lot of you may have love on the brain and you want to go forward. Your headspace is telling you, I got to make some moves. I got to make some major moves. And here's the thing. The struggle is, do I make the move or do I wait? The Three of Wands is about sitting on the sidelines, right? It's like saying, I'll do this tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, whatever, you know? And I think you know you've got to make a move. I think there's just this feeling of like, when do I do it? Do I leave a situation? Do I go towards a situation? Whatever it is for you, you're really in decision-making mode. And so let's take a look at the heart. The worry and the anxiety. You know, they always say the longest journey is from the head to the heart. And that's why it's so hard to make these adjustments, because you're not sure what's going to happen. How could you possibly know though, right? And the Eight of Pentacles says you have work to do. You got work to do. All the songs coming into my head. Work, 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 work. Right? Like you've got work to do. You've got a lot to do. And it's scary because everything's being shaken up. Okay? So in the heart space, you know that you've got to make some major moves. And again, it's freaking you out a little bit. Let me just move these cards up here. I probably should have done that in the first place. My apologies. But let's take a look at what we need to know spiritually. What's happening spiritually? Three of Cups. Three of Cups is about celebration, yes, okay? It can also indicate, you know, weddings and parties, events, whatever. But whenever I see three people in a card, I think two's company, three's a crowd. So spiritually, I feel there's this need for you to make some boundaries somewhere. Boundaries need to be made and enforced. And that's really tough for people. So let's see what else we need to know here. Spiritually, there's the King of Pentacles. The spiritual journey can be lonely. If you're feeling lonely, you're not alone, just so you know. This is a road of trials and tribulations, slow and steady. And sometimes we repeat old patterns until we learn the lessons. And that's why the King of Pentacles is such a long road. Don't get me wrong, there's abundance in the end, but it's tough at times. there's the clarity, the downloads, and you are making progress. Don't doubt yourself. I think oftentimes people wonder if they're really making any progress because they don't always see it in real time for themselves. You know, they don't have the awareness to look at the bigger picture. They just think, why is this taking so long, right? So, I mean, I think spiritually, you are getting the downloads and you are getting the clarity and you are getting the truths. You're just trying to process all of the information, which of course is never easy. And that's why it's really important to talk to people who understand energy. And I'm not saying that as a solicitation. I'm just saying that that is my gift. If you need help with that, please let me know. But oftentimes friends and families don't understand what we're going through, because this is the thing. Everybody is at a completely different pace on different timelines, and not everybody's meant to be awakened. I mean, how many times have you ever looked around the room somewhere and you've said, wow, this is not my soul tribe, or this is not where I fit, or, you know, I don't feel like I'm understood. Let's go back to the headspace, to how you're feeling mentally. You need to trust your intuition more. You need to trust yourself. You need to be confident. You need to know that you're resilient, regardless, whatever the situation. You know, you might have love on the brain, yes, and I know you want to move it forward quickly, but I think part of this is a should I stay, should I go kind of vibe. You know, if somebody's not meeting your needs, then you've got to figure out what to do about that. And you have to know that you're more powerful. And funny that that card just said that. It says believe in your power, and this does say powerful. You need to be calm, cool, collected. Don't react. You know, keep your head. You know, keep yourself grounded as much as you possibly can. Be confident in who you are. Be confident to make the move you need to make. And there's the clarity. So I think what it comes down to is you've got to make the decision. And I find the lighting of this card here very interesting, because you can tell there's this vibe here. There's the spark. There's the fire that's underneath this. It's hard for you to see, I know, but look at the coloring of this sort of like fiery moon energy, and its abundance and the breakthrough that comes from making a decision. So mentally, you know that there are adjustments that are required, right? You know that you've got to chop wood, hence the doing the work here in the heart space. So emotionally, yeah, you're worried. You're worried because what's next? Makes total sense. And there's the Chariot again. Universe is saying, I said what I said. All you can do is move yourself forward. If you're feeling stuck or you're worried about something, waiting is just going to continue the anxiety, the worry. You know what I mean? You don't need that. And so whatever you do right now, just take a step forward, even if it's a small step. Nobody says you have to go leaps and bounds overnight. And I think that's the pressure that people feel, to be perfect, you know, and you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. You know, I think this week has been very eye-opening for a lot of people with triggers and, you know, frustrations and wanting things a certain way. And we have to recognize that sometimes we have to let things just be and see what happens. And myself included in that. I take ownership in the fact that I have felt triggered this week too. Like, you know, I think sometimes we get frustrated in daily life or in other people's energies. And you know what? All we can do is do for ourselves. I always say that we can't change the world. This is the problem. You know, we can't change the world. I can't change the school system. As a former teacher, I can't change the school system. I can't change the healthcare system. I can't change the political system. I can't change the atrocities that are happening in the world right now. And my heart goes out to everybody who is suffering because of war. It's just awful, you know, to think that bad things happen, because nobody wants bad things to happen. But what I do think is important to understand is that we control our own environment. I can change me. I can change what I do. And hopefully with what I do, it helps influence those around me. And then that grows and that spreads, because really, I mean, love that I show myself should in theory radiate outwards to others. and inspire them to feel love and peace and harmony. The last thing we need right now is divisiveness, right? And fear. So, side note, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let's look at that Eight of Pentacles and that work. See, there's the sun. Yes, confirmation. It's a beautiful energy that says move forward, always, onwards and upwards. And the tower, you know, I talked about the tower shaking up your heart space, your emotions. You might be feeling extremely emotional, and that's okay. You know, things will unfold. They will unfold exactly the way that they're supposed to in due time. There are major opportunities here. Celebrating the light, warmth, growth, being bold. I love it. Let's take a look at the spiritual side of things. We talked about the Three of Cups being celebration, yes, but also a bit of interference, making boundaries, saying no to people, right? And there's the albatross. You know, I've been seeing a lot of posts about the albatross. I don't know if that's just me. Has anybody else been seeing the albatross? You know, in my entire life, I can't think of any moments that I truly studied the albatross until recently, and it must be a message that's important, because I read that the albatross can fly at, wow, like ridiculous amounts of height and time. You know, the travel is unbelievable. Like, what a bird. It's incredible. And, you know, this card talks about it being a good omen, but also it's the need to release baggage, burdens, feeling cursed, guilt, shame, regret. Spiritually, in order to ascend, you know, we have to let go. And I look at this Fibonacci spiral here. I don't know if any of you know about the golden ratio. If you don't, Google it. It's very fascinating. But I look at the staircase and I think, remember that with every step that you take, you release an old step. You have to release the baggage, the burdens, the guilt, the shame, the regret, anything that no longer serves you, right? And the King of Pentacles, beautiful. We're birthing a whole new cycle here, spiritually. It's time. That's the adjustment that's required. We got to chop that wood. We got to get rid of that old stuff, that interference, that baggage, and we have to allow the abundance in. I mean, how many times do I say this? You know, it's one thing to ask for happiness, another thing to allow it. Are you ready for it? Can you really let it in? Can you let go of the old stories of what used to be? Can you take the risk? And that's what's really hard for us, because taking risks, require confidence and trust. And a lot of us don't trust anymore. That's the sad part. And we have to be open, because I say, what choice do we need, or do we have? I can't talk. I feel like I'm just, wow, I'm really deep in my feels. But anyways, the Empress is all about birthing a whole new cycle. And it's grace, it's charm, love and relationships, magnetism, what you attract, you know, pleasure and happiness. And I want to just remind you that this picture of this man, he's been through a lot. He's got the beard, he's got the dog with the gray fur, you know, indicating a long journey or age and wisdom. But there's the abundance and the comfort, sitting in a library of knowledge, right? And so the Empress here, like I said, is feeling attractive and good. And that Ace of Swords is about clarity. You are getting spiritual enlightenment, downloads, and clarity, and even truth for that matter. And my goodness, 1111, Twin Flames, could I ask for a better card? You know, interesting. When you feel good, when you feel spiritually ascended, that's when everything aligns for you. 1111 is such a beautiful number. Let me know in the comments what numbers you're seeing. They all have a significance, of course, but 1111 is new beginnings. It's spiritual ascension. I just talked about this, taking the methodical steps. It's a catalytic heart awakening, a major change happening in your life. Adjustments are required. And if you want the new energy, you have to release the old. Now, this could be in relation to a divine partner, okay? And really, the twin flame journey, in my opinion, is just simply, you know, an awakening. I actually call it a reawakening, because we're born awakened. It's just that life gets in the way. You know, we lose our innocence as children, you know. It's around age 6 or 7 where the brain really shifts and we start to become programmed. And that's when, unfortunately, we start to see things in this world that are not so nice. And they affect us, of course. And we go about our daily lives and we get caught up in it all. And then suddenly the way I would describe it is that life starts getting hard and complicated, and we don't know how to deal. And when we don't listen, all of a sudden the universe comes in with that tower moment that we talked about and shakes you up. Now, I find that this can happen at any age, but I will say that I think for women specifically, not that it should be about gender, but I notice a major trend, and that is around the age of 35 is when it really first starts to hit. You know, we're like 32, 33, 34, 35, even 36, 37. I know that's going to sound like such a wide range, but it's that 35 range where you lose yourself and, you know, you're everything to everyone and you're overgiving, overdoing, problem solving, and it just becomes really hard. And when you don't listen, the universe comes in and goes, oh yeah, you don't want to listen? Let me show you. And then everything just hits you from every angle. And one of two things happens in this moment. You either get up and make changes, right? You make those adjustments that are required, or you put a Band-Aid on it and you just hope that it will all go away. But the issue with that is if you don't address it, more than likely in that 45 range, you're going to feel it again. And it's going to test you to see whether you're learning lessons or not. And then it goes so on and so forth. That's the 45, the 55, the 65, the 75, the 85, etc. It's always sort of in decades like this. I can always tell when I'm talking to somebody sort of where they're at based on the energy of their age, not about beauty or aesthetics. So if I ever ask you that, it's not about beauty or aesthetics. But I think for men, it tends to happen more in the 43 range. Maybe it's 45 if you want to go based on like, you know, middle of a decade. But I do see that in men also. You can definitely tell. And this is not to say that men, you know, are necessarily behind women. But to some extent, you'll notice that if we go back to energy, as in masculine and feminine energy, it is the feminine energy that leads in the 5D and the masculine that leads in the 3D. Again, not about gender. But this is the thing. If we are 10 steps ahead in the feminine energy, that requires us to lead spiritually, to let go of the burdens, the regrets, the shame, the guilt, all that stuff, right? To go the long journey, right? To learn who we are, to figure out who we are, and to gain our truth and live our authentic truth. And once we find that balance within ourselves, and that's what this card is all about. I'm going to come full circle. I know I've been talking a lot, but balancing masculine and feminine energies here, that's what we want. We all have inner masculine and feminine energies. And if right now you're feeling, you know, upset about a relationship, okay, understand that if you are so heavy in your masculine energy and you're wanting that other person to lead, that polarity cannot exist with you and your masculine and your person and their masculine, right? So that's almost like butting heads with each other, or like a magnet. Even though you're magnetic, you repel each other. That's why you can't somehow find a way to that union. So how do you find union? Inner union. You find that balance of masculine and feminine energies within you. That's why you experience the spiritual awakening that you do. And I've talked about this in videos before where I ask, what was it that sparked your reawakening? For some, it's health. Unfortunately, I don't wish ill health on anyone, but sometimes it's health, loss of a loved one, a near-death experience, right? An accident, excuse me, a divorce, a breakup, and you encounter somebody who sparks you, who brings new light into your world. And I mean, that's really the cake analogy. Maybe I have to repost it. I've been talking about this a lot lately. Maybe for those of you that haven't seen it or need a refresher, it's really the cake analogy 101. Somebody comes into your life when you're least expecting it and motivates you to climb, to get up the cake, to chase your dreams, and to feel all the goodness that you feel you deserve. And then when it gets taken away from you, it's like the universe is saying, now go get it yourself. Now figure it out. And that's the long journey. That's the spiritual journey that happens, you know, with 1111 and having these new beginnings. And then we have the matters of the heart that we have, matters of the heart here at the center. You know, the headspace and the heart have to be in coherence. If you've ever heard that term, you know, brain and heart coherence. Again, longest journeys from the head to the heart. But it all stems from this foundation. It's kind of interesting that I would have put the spiritual cards at the bottom here, because that's the foundation of everything. It's your spiritual health and well-being, your ability to make boundaries, your ability to feel confident in yourself. Venus is self-worth, self-value, and self-respect. And then when you're sparked and you're having this reawakening process, what does it do, right? It helps you ascend. Now, interesting, there's your foundation. Now I'm looking at this totally differently than when I came into this reading. All of this is spontaneous for me, right? I fly by the seat of my pants. That's the style of my teaching and always has been. But look, here's the foundation, your spiritual health. There's your heart and there's your head, right? You've got to be heart-centered. Interesting that I put the emotions right in the middle, right? And then when it rises to the crown chakra, right? Because I mean, think about it. Root chakra, this would be essentially like your heart, and then this would be sort of like your downloads. And so this is believing in yourself. This is being calm, cool, collected, knowing that you're powerful, and having the enlightenment come right through. Wow, this was a totally unexpected reading for me. I wasn't intending to go into this type of conversation or even go this route, but I mean, hey, listen, I really hope this resonates with you. These are my thoughts. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I really appreciate your kindness and support. Let me know how you're feeling. Like, really, I know that this has been a really tough week for everybody, and I send you so much love and positive vibes, and thank you again.